Do clones exist in real life? The short answer? Yes, but not for humans, yet. Cloning occurs when one parent makes an identical genetic copy of itself. That is, the parent makes a baby organism with the exact same DNA that the parent has. Humans can't clone themselves naturally. Instead, we reproduce through sex. Sexual reproduction just means two parents each provide half of the baby organism's DNA. The advantage of sexual reproduction is that it makes babies who are not clones because they're different from their parents. That means they have different strengths. These differences make the human race stronger as a team. That's because on any good team, each teammate is unique and can provide the team with a unique strength that no one else on the team can provide. Sex, in which we receive different DNA from two different parents, is what makes us unique. As we said earlier, though, not all organisms need to have sex in order to reproduce. Instead, they can make a clone of themselves. We call this process of cloning asexual reproduction, which literally means not sexual reproduction. This is when one parent makes a baby all by itself. The advantage of asexual reproduction, or cloning, is that it can happen fast. Some types of organisms, like bacteria, can clone themselves every 15 minutes because they don't need to waste time looking for a partner to have sex with. The downside is that all the baby bacteria clones have the exact same DNA as their parents. This makes for a bad team of bacteria because every bacteria teammate has the exact same strengths as every other teammate. There's no diversity. There are several types of asexual reproduction. The first we'll talk about is budding, in which one organism sprouts a tiny clone, or bud, that pinches off and lives by itself. Yeast, the fungi that makes bread rise, and medusa, a type of jellyfish named after the Greek monster who had snakes for hair, are known for their ability to clone themselves asexually through budding. The next type of asexual reproduction is called vegetative propagation, which, as the name suggests, is when plants, or vegetation, clone themselves asexually by growing out offshoots, or roots that develop into separate plants. Fragmentation occurs when a piece of an organism breaks off and develops into an entirely new clone of the original organism. Starfish are best known for doing this. Fragmentation is an extreme version of regeneration, which is when a body regrows a missing part. In fragmentation, though, not only does the body regrow its missing part, but the missing part regrows a new body. Spores are kind of like seeds, but they're much smaller and they don't have a protective shell surrounding them. More importantly, spores only need one parent to make them. Organisms like mushrooms and mosses can release thousands of spores at a time. If the spores land in a welcoming, wet environment, they can grow into clones of the parent who released them. Bacteria reproduce asexually through a process called binary fission. Fission means to split apart, and the bi in binary means two. So during binary fission, a bacteria duplicates its DNA and makes two nucleoids instead of one. It then sends each nucleoid to opposite ends of the cell and splits its cell in two. What's left over are two baby bacteria clones with identical nucleoids inside them. Parthenogenesis literally means virgin birth, and it occurs when an egg cell grows into a baby without ever being fertilized by a sperm cell. Parthenogenesis has been observed in lizards, sharks, ants, and bees. Sexual reproduction looks different depending on what organism is having sex. Humans and other animals have sex through a process called fertilization, in which the sperm cell from a male joins the egg cell from a female. The sperm and egg each have half of the DNA necessary to make a complete baby, and when they get joined together, they create a zygote. That is the first cell of the new baby. The zygote can then start growing and dividing into a new human being. In humans, fertilization occurs internally, that is, inside of the female's body. This is called internal fertilization. But some female organisms, like fish, lay their eggs out in the open where they wait for a male to swim by and spray his sperm on them. This kind of fertilization that occurs outside the body is called external fertilization. Exo, again, meaning outside. Plants have sex through a process called pollination. It works similar to fertilization in humans, except instead of sperm cells, plants use pollen cells to join up with egg cells. Since pollen cells don't have flagellum and plants can't move, plants often get bees or birds to help them have sex with other plants. The plant uses its sweet nectar to lure a bee to its flowers. While the bee eats the nectar, the bee will rub up against the plant's pollen and carry it on to other plants, where it will pollinate their egg cells and make baby plants. Bacteria can also have sex. They perform a process called conjugation, in which one bacterium nudges up against another bacterium and injects a piece of its nucleoid, or DNA, inside of it. Even though sexual conjugation takes more time for a bacteria to do than asexual binary fission, getting new DNA from another bacteria means that each bacteria can build new proteins, which give the bacteria teams strengths that they didn't have before.